Trader more than just great rates? Well, you don't have to run around searching for the most competitive rates anymore. Simply visit fxtrader.gkmsonline.com. Every morning, we at FX Trader adjust our rates to bring you the best conversion possible. We'll even do the math for you. Simply enter the amount of hard currency you want to exchange at fxtrader.gkmsonline.com, and the calculation is done instantly. There's no cost, and you can even use your mobile device. FX Trader is changing the face of foreign exchange.
Reggae radio station, rocking to the nation.
The time on IRI FM is...
It is now 12:24. Of course, coming up 12:30 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. It is all about Road to Success, the journey, and we are in season 6. And today we will journey with musician, record producer, artist, manager, songwriter, music publisher, and audio engineer. We're talking about none other than Danny BROWNIE. But what you know about the Bloodfire Posse? What you know about Bloodfire Posse?
Reggae Radio, IRI FM.
Street Records. Music runs in his DNA. Danny Brownie is the youngest brother of the Brownie musical clan. After performing for some time with the vintage reggae group, the Bloodfire Posse, Danny Brownie formed Main Street Records, producing a catalog of classic hits, working with the likes of Papa San, Garnet Silk, Red Rat, Mr. G, Mr. Vegas, Lady G, Junior Tucker, Chrissy D, Lieutenant Stitchy, Buccaneer, and others. He has also worked with international acts such as P. Diddy, Beyonce, Pitbull, Billy Ocean, and Benny King. In 1998, Danny Brownie turned to Christianity and created Main Street Gospel. He's currently the chairman of the Jamaica Music Society Jams, a private non-profit organization established under the Copyright Act of Jamaica to administer the intellectual property rights granted to record producers or owners of the master sound recordings. Today, we are absolutely honored to be journeying with Danny Brownie. And Mr. Brownie, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to take us on your awesome journey that cannot be told in an hour. But we're going to try to make it happen today. I know you're responding, but I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you too well.
Oh, sorry, that's my fault. I'm saying good luck with trying to get it done in 1 hour.
I know that is absolutely not possible at all. Just to do the research and how extensive it is, but nonetheless, we're happy that you're able to take time out. Looking at your background, wow, you put the M in music. Talk to us about your studio, like where you are.
Where I'm right now? Okay, this is my favorite room. It's at home. This is where I do my work these days. In this studio, we've had a number of artists pass through. It's a private studio. It's not open to the public at all. I only use it for my own personal work. And so, it's adequate. It's just new technology, so it's much more powerful than what we had before, but it's much smaller.
All right, so let's now you explain your background for viewers, because persons are now watching across our online mediums in addition to those who are listening to the radio. So you gave them a nice pictorial of where you are. But let's kick off with your foundation. You are the youngest brother of 5 musician siblings. How would you describe your childhood, growing up as the wash belly in a musical family?
Well, it's quite interesting. I mean, I was destined to do what I've been doing for over 50 years, as a result of, being the youngest of 5 brothers who obviously they started before me, and I was able to learn everything I knew by time I had sense to talk and to sing. They taught me everything, and, being a wash belly, trust me, must spoil. So I'm not afraid to admit it. So I used to give them a lot of trouble. I'd ask questions, too many questions most of the time. And now, and with my parents' support, of course, they would have to address the questions I asked them. And it was interesting times, because my mom, who spearheaded the whole move into music, because she taught music. She taught us to sing. She taught us parts.
Oh, wow.
My mom plays everything with a string on it, and she plays piano. And so we grew up in an environment where there's always music. Also included in that were my uncles. So everyone played an instrument. And so in my house, there was always music. And it transitioned from there. I mean, it's a long story. If you want the long one, I can tell you. But let me just quickly go through it quickly. Glenn Brownie is my eldest brother. He asked my father for a guitar. He wanted to play bass guitar because he was exposed from way back then to the great bands of the time, like Generation Gap and No Generation, the Falcons, all these big bands at the time. And he wanted to play bass, but my father brought him a guitar, regular guitar. So my brother Dalton decided he would play that guitar while my father would replace it with a bass guitar. Hence, Glenn played bass, Dalton was next in line, started to play guitar. Of course, I observed all of that. And seeing my others, like Noel came next. He also started to double. Then Clevie, he started to as a matter of fact, it got to a point where Glenn started to interface with a lot of artists that would have known about. Because I remember there were days when Bob Andy was a regular at my house. Derek Harriott, we had the bands like No Generation. Keep rehearsing at my house with the great Robbie Lind and the Chung brothers. And so that exposure started catapulted us into what we wanted to be, because Glenn wanted to play bass by then, and so he started to get exposure in that area. Keith from Keith and Text, that's her name. Where Keith and Text. So they, I think it was Keith who started to teach Glenn to play the guitar, and so again, as he learned, he passed on what he knew to us, and the instruments and stuff passed down to my father. Was very supportive, and so whatever Glenn would ask for, he would provide for the most part. And so all of us had instruments. By the time we got to high school, we were all able to play an instrument. And so, and that was just the birth of how we started. However, we started out as a singing group, first of all. So the Brownie Bunch, which was formed, by takeoff of the Jackson 5, because we were almost the same age, 5 brothers. And ironically, the first song we recorded was a cover of a Jackson 5 song called Good Thing Going. And so that's where we got our first exposure into actually being professional musicians. At the time, I would have been about 9 or 10.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So, that is an awesome story, and it is really giving us an idea as it relates to how supportive your parents were, and just the love and closeness among the Brownie brothers. You personally, as a youngster, was there anything that you admire about your parents that still resonates with you today?
Man, listen, I'm in awe of my mother. My mother is currently 96 years old, and that lady, she can recall every single thing, every conversation, everything, that any monumental moment in our lives. My mother was able to she can up to now can recall and remind us of things that we don't remember. And her ability with music is extraordinary, I can tell you that. There's this thing they call salsa. And people hardly use it these days, but my mother can take up a sheet of music with music written out on it and words and sing the song without hearing it. For the first time, just sing it from the paper, which is something that I can't do. I don't know many persons who can do that. But she's able to take up a bit and just sing it, melody, everything, without touching an instrument. And I find that amazing. My father, he was not a musician. He played the radio well. He would play, he would collect music, and we collect good music, and I think it's just in support of, his children. We weren't footballers, we were sold out to music from day one. We had no doubt. And so, giving us that support, we really cherished that. And he was always there to say yes, to be a driving force behind what we were doing.
So we're getting that music was very integral in your family from Jump Street, from day one. Here it is, you're a part of the Brownie Bunch at only 9 years old. What was that balance like between music and school and your school life?
To me, because when you live in a certain situation, you hardly knew. I didn't know the difference. It was just a natural part of my regular day. I remember when I started to play guitar seriously. When my friends were out there playing football and everything, because I love sport. I love sports and I love to play sports. But the truth is that when my other friends were outside, like for instance, we would play scrimmage football and everything on the street, I'd always be at my gate with my guitar. And it never occurred to me what was happening. I would be eating dinner and I'm running my scales, just constantly on my instrument, day in, day out, and So to me, it was just a natural progression to where we are today. There's no question in my mind. There was no challenge for me. It was just clear from day one that this is the thing. And, and further on in life, through experiences, for instance, we experienced for the first time going to studio. We had people like Lindo from Whalers. We had a Robbie Lynn in the studio. We had Val Douglas on bass, Mikey Richards on drums, the Chung brothers on guitar, right? We were exposed to Peter Ashburn, people like Clive, why am I forgetting that name, man? He was on trumpet. What I'm saying, we had the cream of the crop working with at the time, unknowingly, because we weren't, we had no say, but then this was our exposure. And the level of musicianship and production, as a little youth, I'm there in nervous and everything in the cold studio, but taking in everything. And I'm able to draw on those experiences, even now to while I do my music today. So, everything to me just contributed to the whole growth and, birth of what we are today.
And that is awesome. You're helping us now to put a lot of things into perspective. So no wonder as a youngster, you were still able to form the Bloodfire Posse. Talk to us a little bit about that and how that came about with just such a group of awesome musicians and entertainers.
Well, Bloodfire Posse somewhat experimental. The truth is that Bloodfire Posse was something that we sat down and decided, listen, let's do this thing and it's going to be this great thing and have a great plan or anything like that. It then tell you what happened at the time, and it's a story you're maybe interested in. After Bob Marley died, right? The I3s were signed. I think I got signed to a label with Tom Bell, same Tom Bell we're talking about. And so they had some songs to record, and I was invited to help them out. I was the guitarist in Judy Mott's band at the time. I was our band leader, and so she asked me to help them, the I3s, work out harmonies and work through them songs. So I'd go to her house daily with the I3s and work out the songs for the album, and we'd do it daily, go back through the rehearsals and so on. And Judy Mott bought this little machine. I had never seen anything like this before in my life. I knew about something called a rhythm box. It's something that come with some pre-programmed beats in it. But this was a machine now that you had to put the beats in there, create your own beats. So after rehearsal every day, I used to just mess with this little machine. And I remember one day I programmed the machine and playing this beat. And me and my own excitement. Because I'm a youth to them, So me and my excitement and Master Griffiths turned and said, Danny, that's so nicey. And I said, my mate, swell. Well, that beat is what turned out to be Rubber Dub Soldier. Because at the time, I had no idea what I was going to do with it. I didn't have a plan for it. I've never produced a song in my life. And so this beat, I just have this machine now, and I said, let me this machine, and I took it with me. And it just so happens that Paul Blake used to hang out at my house too. And a friend of ours, Peter Keane, rest in peace. I just heard he died maybe 2 weeks ago. But he just had this song. And so we were discussing recording this song, and Paul was interested in voicing it. And so Paul and I went to studio, and this rhythm that I created on the drum machine became the rhythm behind the Rubber Dub Soldier song. So the song was, when we were going to release the song, we released the song as Paul Blake and the Bloodfire Posse, because Bloodfire Posse was a band that it just happened. It just for some friends, and one day went to that show and they asked what the group name, and somebody said Bloodfire, and that was it. So when we decided to do this, the same members of the band came together and made the rhythm, right? And so it gave rise to that whole Bloodfire sound. And then to our amazement, the studio that worked, that was a brand new studio equipment that weren't so good. It was the machine wasn't like any multi-track out. It's one output, a mono machine, So we had everything stacked up against us. I didn't have a tape to record, and I borrowed a piece of tape from a friend of mine. just catch the them just want to catch it on them tape. And we made this thing, and let me tell you something, man. The thing blew up. Oh, no, trust me. For us, it was so amazing because we just had trying, we had fun. We got to the studio, and it was fun to us. And next thing we know, this song #1 everywhere. We had said, hold on there. And even how that happened was amazing. You know, David Radigan, he was at the time, he was on Capital Radio in London. He came to Jamaica to clash with Barry G. This big clash we used to have every summer. And Barry G drew the song from David Radigan, and the rest is history. When he heard it, he took it back to England, and trust me, this song just took on a life of its own. And that was my first production. I will give thanks for that up to now.
How old were you?
Wow. Possibly, I think I was probably still a teenager, was I? If I was a teenager, I probably was about 20 by then.
Wow, and this is the track you're talking about. That is awesome. Like, just how everything it's like it just happened naturally. So here it is now. Rubber Dub Soldier, Pink Panther, Get Flat, the Bloodfire Posse, you garnered international recognition, inked overseas deals, and toured extensively. How did this experience, Danny, and exposure impact your career?
Well, that was the beginning of our career, because the reality is that all this was happening without us expecting anything. There was no agenda. So after recording the Rubber Dub Soldier and the big, whatever happened there, it happened big time. We followed up Rubber Dub Soldier with Every Posse Get Flat. So there's no wisdom. We start kind of take it a little bit more serious. Kind of say, okay, something go on here. Record the song and the same result, right? We dropped Pink Panther right behind it, and immediately we found a recording deal. A record major label called us, which was CBS Records, which is Columbia, Sony at the time. So within a matter of a year, I think a year from we started, we had a recording deal. We didn't know nothing about them thing there. We didn't know about it. And if you understand what I'm talking about, everything was just in our faces. We had no idea how to maneuver in the music industry at that level. But no, we are thrown in it. And those experiences are, well, up to now, I still find them invaluable. I mean, I wouldn't say we benefited from it financially in a major way, but the experience, I could not pay for it. I'm not saying we came out here because we did well. We were on tour and we did several things. We toured, for instance, we ended up touring with the Sunsplash tour throughout Europe. We had on those tours, we were on tour with Third World, we were on tour with people like Toots and the Maytals, Gregory Isaacs, Tiny Kamosi, those greats at the time. And Whalers, we encountered the Whalers. So it's like we were thrown into a real big professional league. And we considered ourselves amateurs at the time. And so the wealth of knowledge that we gained just being on the road and seeing and experiencing these things, and then being able to financially now start to invest in equipment, which was the primary thing for us, because our main thing was always about technology. So we were on the cutting edge of technology, doing things with, 4 musicians playing this massive sound on stage, and people could figure out how we do it. Voices singing and they weren't seeing people singing. These things that are standard today, we were doing it from then, including pyrotechnics and them things. We started to become so innovative through the experiences that we had going into Europe and touring the world. When we came back to Jamaica, it was like we're just at a different level. And that experience really solidified what for me personally, what I'd become. I knew exactly, I felt like I was blessed. And so I utilized the best that I had.
Stick and stay. So you want the flip side of this quick time signal. Do not go anywhere.
The time on IRI FM is
it is now 12:50. If you're just joining us, we are on the road to success and we're journeying with none other than Danny Brownie. So here it is now, Danny, Bloodfire Posse, a successful group, and like you talk about the innovation and just how you were learning and growing along the way. But then around 1992, the group, abruptly ended. Why? What happened?
Okay, so that's a tragic story because here what happened now. We can't pinpoint a specific thing, right? But let me say this: youthful exuberance is a hell of a thing. At the time, we were doing so well, and we were making a lot of mistakes, obviously, and we learned from the mistakes. But one of the things that we had been signed to Sony Music, right? And so we had this was now what 1995 or thereabout. Bloodfire had been in existence from about 19 yeah, me know, about 1982, 83, right? They wanted us to continue after having the album put out and them things. These songs were all news to us, but they wanted us to continue with the same old songs, the same Get Flats, the same Pink Panther, the Rubber. And we said, no, we want to go record new stuff. And we had a disagreement. And we started I guess we rebelled in a sense. Because we've been touring with these same songs for years now. And for them, it was new. We didn't have the experience to recognize that, listen, it's a whole new audience. All we know with songs have reached number one everywhere as far as we're concerned. So we don't need to, but then a whole new world opened up. Especially when we went on tour at UB40. Because we toured with UB40 for a month and going through the Wembley stadiums. We did everywhere that mattered. And out of that, the song re-entered the UK, the British charts. The Every Posse Get Flat and re-entered the charts. But at the time, we still wanted to move on. So what they caused us to do, we re-recorded Get Flat, we re-recorded Rubber Dub Soldier in England to try and speed it up and do whatever it would take to thing. And we are bored with that, So out of that, frustration started to build. Disagreements within the band, what we should do and what we shouldn't do. And it went to boiling point and we had a big falling out and them say sometimes, somebody says something them shouldn't say and then it led to kind of that split. But realistically what happened is Paul and the group had a falling out. And so we continued after that with the Bloodfire Posse minus Paul Blake. And that's where we gave the songs like Can't Stop Rocking Tonight and Rude Boys in Town, some of those other songs. But during that period, it was a rough period because our keyboard player died during that period of time. Trapper John was our founding member, he died. And then our drummer died. So it was just a difficult time and we couldn't maneuver it and navigate it. We tried for a minute. The great Lenky came on board and started to play with us. We in fact, after our drummer died, Clevie played drum with us for a while. Playing live drum. So as a matter of fact, let me tell you this because a lot of people would know this. That song Rubber Dub Soldier, that marching drum at the front, is actually Clevie played it.
Oh.
Clevie was one who played. Yeah, man. So even though we had a drummer, as I said, it was more an experiment on my part. And so Clevie did the drums. And so Clevie has always been a part associated with Bloodfire Posse from day one. So he took over and then eventually petered out.
So after like you said, Bloodfire Posse phased out, was it difficult to move on to the next thing for you? Or was it just, you just keep moving and keep going and doing the music? What was that like?
Well, for me, as I say, I consider myself blessed from day one. Because the truth is, after Bloodfire started to go through our little transitions and the issues then, as a musician, I was always doing sessions. I'm a session musician, always, doing my own thing. And so I'll be playing for instance, I toured with Sly and Robbie. I also toured with Steely and Clevie. I was a session musician with Steely and Clevie. Once there's a guitar and the recording, that's me playing. Same Sly and Robbie, I was playing with Sly and Robbie for a minute, doing studio work, everything. And so people started to notice the and especially Steely and Cleveland. I would say I'm the Andy Steely and Cleveland. So I became that, and so people started to know me. So here I find out that I discovered that I'm really blessed. Doing sessions with Steely and Cleveland, well, in the heights of dancehall, when dancehall was like really happening and hot. I was playing on most of these recordings with them. And one day I went to studio and Steely didn't make it. And the producer was from overseas and he was desperate. So I usually walk around like a keyboard thing. I'm not a keyboard player, I'm a guitarist, right? But I I don't tell anybody I'm a keyboard player, but I can't help myself. So Cleve said to me, Danny, go for your keyboard. I was at Channel 1 recording studio. And I remember the first time, I went to the studio, nervous now, make a play thing then, guys. We can't mess with Steely, man. Steely the bass player, man. We are trying thing. And that day, the first song we made was a song called Kingston 13 by Pinchers. If you know, say, think I send them butter. Come we come. Think I send me butter. Yeah, man. And the rhythm rocked the studio, and people, it's like the producer got excited and started telling me, hey, Clevie, brother, you can play now. Next thing we know, me get called Jack Scorpio. I mean, I do a song named She's Mine with Barrington Levy. Every day I love me just a little bit more. So me, I play keyboard now and it'll work. Then here comes the big bad rumors them spreading. And the bass line again and people start saying, hold on, man. It's almost like the alternative now, like them start to realize that, as a musician, this youth, he might have something special. And of course, during that Gussie Clark era, when Gussie Clark was really the guy with the telephone loves and they call it Pirates and Mr. Lover Man and them songs there. So I was playing these wave of bass lines and, and I mounted to the fact that during the Bloodfire days, I was one who was creating bass lines. I just never played them, but I'd go to the keyboard player and said, this is the bass line we're hearing. And of course, it's pure synth bass, synthesizer bass. So as I always come up with bass lines, and then I started realizing, start making producers start to call me. So that was part of my whole transition. With, phone start ringing and producers calling me, so I was playing for Donovan, Jeremy, and I was playing for everybody, put that way. Steely actually went overseas for a while, and during that period of time, I was playing on most of the tracks, Clevie and myself. But a lot of persons wouldn't know that. They thought it was Steely and Clevie. But, so that again, I started to enjoy success again. And first time doing things. So it's like I say, every time I touch something happened. Now, hear what happened now. I ended up now start to produce for different persons or coming out of that. And Lieutenant Stitchy at the time got signed to Atlantic Records. And they called me, and Clevie and I produced his albums with Atlantic Records. And it's out of that now, when, Dress to Impress was probably the first dancehall song that made the Billboard charts in America. And it was, it worked so well that we started to become a staple now in remixing for other persons and so on. And Stitchy called me one day and said, Danny, why you not start a label for yourself? I said, Stitchy, I'm not really interested in them things there, I don't feel like more getting that thing there that deal with the artists them and getting at the drama and you always hear the stories them about it. Mm-hmm. And he said, no man, do it, man. I'm reluctantly said, I'm just come up with the name Main Street. I don't know where it come from. I can't tell you that I read it anywhere. The whole idea of just Main Street just came to me and said, I start a label called Main Street. And the first song.
On that note, Danny, before we get into the Main Street history, we have to break for cash pots, and I'm happy that you brought it there. So when we return, we'll delve into Main Street.
Yeah, man. Looking forward.
When me use Island Fresh with aloe vera, it make me skin feel so much smoother. So if you want to feel better and smell fresher, use Island Fresh with aloe vera.
Manufactured by Island Products, 934-0666.
The time is...
It is now 12:59. We are standing by. Listen up. Your top draw dollars. Pick 2, pick 3, pick 4. Hot pick and cash pot. Lunchtime draws up next.
Baby, don't worry. Don't worry. Oh, no.
Let the games begin. good afternoon. It's Thursday, January 19, 2023. I'm Sydney, and welcome to this afternoon's Supreme Ventures live game draw. Now, before we begin, here's a quick look at our mid-morning winning numbers. All live draws are being supervised by the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commission and observed by the independent auditing firm PwC. Now, let's put some money in your top draw. This afternoon's jackpot is back at $200,000, so congrats to the mid-morning winner. And here are the winning top draw numbers. Now, your first winning top draw number this afternoon is 19. Coming down next, we have 14. And following 14, what will it be? It's the number 4. Next up, we have number 9. And for $200,000, you're going to need the number 2. And now let's pick a play with our dollars game. I do hope you're feeling lucky. Get those tickets out. Your first winning dollars number is making its way down. And first up is 17. Coming down next, we have the number 15. Following 15 is lucky number 1. And next in line, we have 31. Coming down slowly but surely is the number 26. And we're halfway there this afternoon with number 9. Now, what is following? Let's see. It's lucky number 7, and coming down is ball number 25. Following 25, what will it be? It's 16, and making its way down slowly but surely is the number 29. Following 29, we have 21, and we wrap things up in our dollars game with the number 18. And now for some easy winnings with our pick 2 game. Let's play. And here we go. The first winning pick 2 number is 33. The second pick 2 number is 10. So once again, the winning pick 2 numbers are 33 and 10. And up next, you can play it 3 ways. It's our pick 3 game. And here we go. The first winning pick 3 number is 8. The second pick 3 number, we have 9. And the third and final number, here it comes, is 8. So once again, the winning pick 3 numbers are 8, 9, and 8. Now it's time to turn up your winnings to get ready for pick 4. And your first winning pick 4 number is 5. The second pick 4 number, we have 4. The third pick 4 number, what will it be? It's the number 1. And the fourth and final number, here it comes, is 8. So once again, the winning pick 4 numbers are 5, 4, 1, and the number 8. Now this one is easy for win, so let's heat things up with hot pick. And here we go. The balls are bubbling up. Now, this afternoon's winning hot pick number is 10. Congratulations to all hot pick winners. Again, the winning number is 10. And of course, you can win $280 for every $10 winning cash pot bet. Let's get ready to play our cash pot game for Thursday, January 19, 2023. Now, you live to play it, but can you win it? Get ready to be a big cash pot winner, and let's see what the winning cash pot number will be. And here we go. This afternoon's winning cash pot number is 9. Congratulations to all cash pot winners. Again, the winning number is 9. Now, let's mega your winnings, and good luck. And here it comes. And a white ball has been selected. And now it's time for the monster winnings, so good luck once more. And what's it gonna be? And the monster ball has been selected. So remember to go mega and monster 6 times per day for cash pot for more chances to win. Again, cash pot number is 9. The lucky mark is cow. And for mega, a white ball was selected for pick 3, pick 4 cash pot and hot pick. And for monster, the monster ball was selected for cash pot. Now let's take a look at this afternoon's winning numbers. And again, congratulations to everyone who won. Please do join us again at 3 p.m. for more games you love to play. I'm Sydney. Have a supreme afternoon.
Hope you were a big winner. Play your favorite Supreme Ventures games every day and tune in for our live draw 6 times a day at 8:30 a.m., 10:30 a.m., 1 p.m., 3 p.m., 5 p.m., and 8:25 p.m. on this station. Supreme Ventures, making winners every day.
That was the lunchtime top draw dollars, pick 2, pick 3, pick 4, hot pick, and cash pot draws. Congratulations to all of today's winners. Join us again at 3 p.m. for another chance to win in hot pick and cash pot special pot draws. Now, Danny, before the cash pot, you were in the process of telling us how the birth of Main Street Records happened. How did that happen?
Well, let me just pick up where I left off. I was just saying that it was Lieutenant Stitchy was the one who encouraged me to start my label because, again, he felt that, I had a place in doing production. And so the name, again, just, I'm one of them people on the spot. I just come up with something and just say it. So Main Street was the name that came up. And so didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew I had the encouragement to do it and, messing around with music, So, I produced up my first song and for Main Street, which was a song called Granny by General Degree. Now, General Degree, because doing sessions, I'd be at mixing lab, one of the foremost studios at the time, and Degree was always there. And but like decency, and Degree was always a decent youth. When you come there and say, what you call manageable, good morning, and we just have a good vibe. And he came to the studio and we was there, hang out, and the idea of the song, he started it, and if anybody know me, very jovial, and I remember laughing till my belly cramp up. I was like, come record, yes ma'am, I can record this song. And I tell you, I had so much fun recording that song because, it was, because it's a gimmick thing, and people don't like gimmick in a dance hall, but we can't help myself, I'm just that person, I'm that guy. And so I record the song, and again, this song run away. This song mash up the place, Jamaica turn over, turn upside down, and turn around again. And that was the birth of General Degree. So right after that, see a Mandeville link, Garnet Silk, it's another, original, we're linking with for years, big up color, and that link, and ended up recording the song called Oh Me Oh My, which again was the second song out of Main Street, and again another hit. And so again I was on that same trajectory to great things, to see great things happening. And again I consider myself blessed. And from there the whole thing started to solidify. People started to hear about us. Artists like Red Dragon, Flower Gun, all them big artists started to hang out around the studio. And then, Junior Tucker, at the time, who he was transitioning from his deal with Virgin Records and wanted to get into dancehall, and people didn't take him serious, because they couldn't see it. And I remember one person laughing. I told him Junior was going to do dancehall. They just figure same voice, not big enough, because you talk about Shabba and them, and then Junior have this fine voice. And we started to record Junior, and Junior songs them just start to shut in the dance too, and that was how Main Street just all of a sudden just emerged out of nowhere. And again, I was able to apply the experience I had, because here's my foundation. I built up this whole notion in my mind that any song I'm doing, first it have to pass my senses. I have a sense in me that this song make me feel good. I want to dance. I'm interested in the lyrical content, and I'm interested in the performance, right? So as a producer, I was never that person who called artists the voice for me. I was never that person try unless I feel I can do something for the artist. So I'm gonna make them better. But if somebody is just is already established, I'm not the person to call them because I want to have this artist on my label. It was never about that. I'd rather take a no-name artist and create something out of it than trying to work with established. Because to me, it don't bring fulfillment to me to do that. Unless I'm asked.
It leads me to my next question, because just hearing you, and you kind of said it earlier, that it felt as if, anything you touch just turned gold almost. It is a hit. And through Main Street, you have given us so many hits. As a producer, what would you say was that distinguishing quality that you possess that, in one, for a better term, separated you from your counterparts?
Well, two things. I'm one of them people. I dare myself to be different. When I say that, I'm not trying to I'm not stepping out of my own comfort zone to be different. If, for instance, everybody is going down one avenue, I will just go a different road because, it is important that we establish our own sound, our own identity in whatever we do as producers. I mean, I don't want to pray it, but I know, music today, everything sounds the same to me. Everybody sounds the same. I'm not hearing that difference. I grew up in an era where you had a Channel 1 studio, you had Studio One, you had Treasure Isle, you had Harry J Studio, Dynamics, and every one of these studios had a unique sound. You could tell just by the song put on the radio, you know exactly who produced that song, just by the sound that you hear, which is something I would not able to do these days. I know that I had a sound. So during that dancehall era, I would say, listen, I'm not the dancehall guy, right? I'm not in that space, right? So I play dancehall music because I love to dance. Enough people don't know that about me. I love dance, but I have two left foot, but I go on the same way. So if it make me feel good when I want to dance, that means it must make somebody else feel good. So my grooves them sometimes a little different. But what was established out on Main Street is that I appeal to an audience that would buy music and carry home, which was different from the typical dancer was about playing the music in the dance. So people always enjoy and not necessarily carry it home. But my music people carry it home as collector's item. So that was my niche. And I enjoyed that because for me, it meant to me that there was some level of success, but while at the same time I'm setting up a different standard. And when it comes to mixing records, I was never the person who was trying to come with the biggest kick drum or the biggest this or biggest that. My things, as the mastering engineers the other day would say, boy, my things are just safe. They don't have to do nothing with it. Send something, you just hear it, it's clear, everything is clear, and and it has a kind of mid-range, middle, where you can hear the voice, you hear what I'm saying. So I pride myself in, I'll tell somebody, my main thing is that I consider myself a vocal producer. I'm into vocals. I believe people, if you're a singer, you're the main instrument in the song, it must be better than everything else. It must outshine even the rhythm. So I'll never take a rhythm and say, make somebody sing half key, or, go. Or the song, when you listen to the song, it don't make sense. It must make sense. You understand? You must, when you sing a song, I must believe you. You have to convict me first before you can convict people out on the road. And so I'm a stickler for that sort of thing. And I would challenge any artist who come in there, we stress them out, man, to make sure them deliver lyrically and deliver with conviction.
And that is something that is absolutely lacking today that we need. But when we get to that patch, we'll talk a little bit about that because I really want to get your perspective on the industry today. But even despite having Main Street, you had the Juvenile label where you released Vegas's Heads High. That was like a really massive hit. Tell us about the Juvenile label and the specifics as it relates to why that was created.
It's a simple song. At the time, let me tell you, Main Street, I felt like we were doing extremely well, right? Mm-hmm. At one point, and I said this guardedly, but at the time, this is what actually happened. I had 7 songs in the top 10. And I said to myself, no man, it look away. But the songs were legitimately strong songs. And I'm looking at the charts and saying, well, no man, this is going too bad. And I just said, let me just start another label. Just so it don't look too bad. You look at the chart, you see Main Street. I said, so it does not too scientific. We just started saying, let's try to use a different name. However, these songs came out in America on the Main Street label, in overseas on Main Street label. Mm-hmm. But Jamaica, we had the Juvenile label. And it was no big thing. My son's name was Juvian, and we kind of just played on that. So, so the Juvenile label was an offshoot of that.
So here it is, Main Street doing its thing, the Juvenile label doing its thing at the peak of your career, 1998. Everything is booming, and here you are. You decided to make that transition from secular to the world of Christianity. Why?
Mm-hmm. That's a simple thing. I grew up my mom was the choir director for the New Testament church. So of course, obviously, we grew up going to church. At the time, our foundation was laid out in church. When we learned to sing, we learned to sing gospel songs. And so that was a foundation that was set from day one. I, coming up now, doing Main Street, to be honest with you, at one point I started feeling slightly like a hypocrite, because the things, although my songs were never, ever, I think we strike a balance. As I said, my music people would carry home. But even yet, my young children at the time, I thought to myself, some things I don't want them to hear. I wouldn't want to play for them. And I said, but that's hypocrisy, And during that time, I was just considering a lot of things. I started to realize that, I wasn't creating that foundation for my children, going to church. And I decided I'm going to start going to church to support my children. Just to be there to say, I'm hands-on. I'm not sending you to Sunday school. I'm going with you to church. I'm going to sit in church and things like that. And one day I went to church and a message was preached. And that message will be where Jesus, the disciples asked Jesus, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And Jesus said to them, if you don't change, Jesus called a little youth. And you come to Jesus. And Jesus looked at the disciples and said, if you don't change and become like this little child, you'll never enter the kingdom of God. And that thing echoed in my mind the whole day, because what he was saying, in just call youth and you'd come. You know much time I hear the gospel message and reject it? And I'm saying, what is this? This message is so simple and straightforward. If you don't change and become like one of the youth, which is humility, you'll never say you're mighty. That means if you don't do it, if you don't humble yourself one day, and just do it because that's what the Bible says, I will believe the Bible. And that day I made a decision for Christ. And I have not looked back since. I've made a decision specifically on the word of God. If you don't do it, you'll never enter the kingdom. And I've seen the change, my whole paradigm shift, everything about me. I mean, I'm human, but my determination is to follow the word of God, because I made a commitment to it, so I'm going to follow it as best I can. Where I mess up, you brush yourself off and try again, but never giving up.
Wow. On that note, we're going to take a quick time signal.
Remember, update your status in a real life. Go HIV test today.
Just 15 minutes, say your status clear. Really long life, our story.
The time by the Ministry of Health and Wellness is...
It is now 1:17. We are on the road to success and we're journeying, of course, with Danny Brownie. Now, your life-changing decision had serious implications for others. What was that conversation like, telling Main Street entertainers that, you're walking away from this secular life and ultimately dancehall, the space?
Shima, at the time when I did that, it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my entire life. Because now you're talking about 1992, and this is 1998. These are young men that grew up, that I took some of them from nothing, and we became like family. I knew their family, and that's the great thing about Main Street, where we really have this family kind of system. We knew everybody's family. I knew everybody's mother and them know my mother. You understand? So we there was a bond. But the truth is that when I got saved, man, it was at that time where, as I say, everything was going well. I never had the usual issues where people have and say, boy, this happened, that happened. We're successful. And I made the decision, and the decision was made. I had to make that decision. That was my conviction. So I had to go in my conviction. I tried to remain in dancehall for a bit, but every day I just grew more and more weary, because I was doing what I felt convicted in my heart that I needed to do. And people were asking me to do things that I didn't want to do, but out of just the sheer relationship, I would compromise as much as I could. And I realized that was not healthy for the industry. It wasn't healthy for us or them. And so one day the conviction, I said, listen, I've called a meeting. And I called everybody and I just said to them, listen, guys, this is it, I can't go no more. But I'm not there, I'm not serving you well. Because I used to go on the road with the guys, them, where they're going on tour and them things. I'd take time out, tell them to stop. I didn't want that environment. anymore. I didn't feel like I wanted to go to studio because of, just the interactions. They didn't have the same convictions that I had at the time. So I had to make a decision to follow my own conviction. And so I just stopped. And when I said stop, I literally stopped. I stopped making music. I stopped being involved in anything music for a good 2-3 years. And I studied the Word of God. That was my determination and conviction. Because you see, when somebody like me, just suddenly get up and reach the find that conviction, I have to know in my heart that what I'm believing is true. So I set out to investigate it. I wanted to dissect the Word of God. I wanted to look at the opinions of men. Because, of course, doctrine and what is sound and all that. So, you know what I did? I read off the Bible. I went through chapter by chapter, verse by verse. I took notes, wrote down everything, consulted with my elders, anybody who, anybody who I consider, more learned than myself. And I took that time out and I was even more convicted. And I grew more convicted. And so I knew I could not go back there until I got to the place where it was time now to start doing music in the church. And that was a tough one. There's now the problem starts. When I decided, after studying the Word of God and convicted, on one hand we had the church where I don't want it to sound too bad, but the truth is that there's rejection in the church, right? In a way, and not just me, just anything that didn't sound like North American or European. Church culture started frown upon it. I mean, that's the church that we entered in. That, and I'm not broad brushing it, because you have one and two that will
some differences.
Yes. And some will accept, but they have the status quo churches that feel say if it don't come from America, I think that. So we had pushback from persons. I mean, one lady called us Satan's spy. Because we are come to spy out them thing now. And people ask that, and then in this and the converse we had the secular world which I'm coming from, who rejecting it and talking about the money we are looking at all the things. And I'm looking at myself and I laugh and say, God, don't you know? They would like no. Right? So we are two worlds. So we are rejected by the church, and then where I'm coming from, I started to feel that rejection. I saw articles in the newspaper and saying, who could have made up them stories there? It's a story about me. And I say, what? Where them stories come from? But in all humility, it was expected, because as them say, Satan tried drama back, and Portia said, drama tongue. But thank God that he kept me through that period of time. And when I started to get back involved in the creative process, my conviction was determined to what I had learned over the years as a musician, producer. God allowed it for me to prepare this. And so when I attempted now to bring dancehall, take the same church artists and so on, and make a different type of music, I was told that it will never work. Forget about it, go about your business, pack up and leave. Better go back to dancehall, not going to work. And I can sit here and laugh today, because again, the very first album I put out was an album called Joy by Chevelle Franklin. And that album was super. I mean, that album did so well. And so I was well accepted both in the dancehall and in the church. And I can testify that God has been good to us, transitioning from there with all the rejection and everything. And it's so important that your conviction, you have to be convicted about anything you say. If you don't believe it, just don't say it. Leave it alone. Or try and, find ways. Dissect anything you're doing. Just dissect it and look at it in reality. And so I was so convicted that it never really mattered to me. So whether what I was doing was successful or not, it was about lives being changed, because I saw firsthand people who you wouldn't believe turning from life the edge of crime. I mean, the amount of bad man, Mr. get convicted through the dancehall gospel we're making and turn around them life. And we can tell some of them now, people who do it so well. And that's the other thing. You find these people, them transition and their life change. You start to God in them life. You see blessings in their life. And these are people who normally probably dead by now, half of them, you know, including the artists. People like Prodigal Son, Moses, these guys who come out of the garrison with some serious scars and being able to transition to, you see people owning homes now, married, living decent lives. You have said, no man, God, you're good. And being a part of it, being able to be somebody who contributed to that in whatever way, you know, to God be the glory.
No, and you know, while you changed your life, share with us the story where Beyonce and her team reached out to you to get some work done as a Christian, you know, leaving the secular world and still having to do that. What was that situation like for you, and were you taken aback by it?
Yeah, well, let me tell you, at the time, because let me tell you, after I left dancehall, I stopped, I lock off radio. I wasn't listening to radio at all. I stopped listening to everything. I mean, trust me, I start wonder to me. I refused to listen to radio because I didn't want to be drawn back to the whole thing. I just wanted that change of heart, change of mind. And so during that transition when Vibes Cartel and these artists were around, I totally never knew anything about it. I'm to tell people that I don't believe me, I never knew a thing about it. I remember when Lenky made Do All the Rhythm. Lenky drive come up to my house and played it for me, specifically that rhythm. And you can Lenky I'm bona fide, right? And Lenky, it's the first time Lenky just leave and come link me and said, Daddy, hear that rhythm. That time it not drop yet, you know. And that was my first reintroduction to the dancehall sound first, in a sense, right? I still never really followed it up, but I started to notice, I started to hear things on the radio. So I was totally oblivious to what's going on. And me, I go on in my well, churchy thing. And it just so happens that I was called in to do something. Mr. Vegas was doing a remix with Mr. Vegas and Beyonce. And somehow I got called into action. You know, and it was the first thing I said to myself, why me? Why call me? Why not call one of the current artists, one of the current producers who doing them because, you know, I seriously was kind of considering, you know, why we should do this and if I should or not. And, you know, to whatever conviction, I say, you know what, let's do this, you know. Let's do this and see what it is like. You know, and the rest is history. The song was recorded, done, and featured. And I remember when I heard her playing it, and it's one of the award shows them. And I heard the track in the background and using it and singing the song called SOS, because Standing on the Sun. And you know, and just I mean, it felt warming to me that I was still remembered to being called, to even being considered to do the song. So big up Mr. Vegas, Tweevy, you know, for allowing us to be part of that whole thing. You know, but again, as I said at the time, it was never my conviction per se. But you know, somehow it got done, and it's now part of my legacy.
And speaking of legacy, you know, things that you have created, we see where in 2013, Chris Brown sampled Tight Up Skirt. Was that situation resolved?
Yes, I would say it's resolved. It's resolved. Not the way we thought it would have been, but yeah.
Okay, and then 2019, now, you granted Nicki Minaj permission to sample the filthy rhythm on her song Megatron. I want you to explain for us how important it is for entertainers, producers, and industry players to understand the business of music and get their house in order.
Well, first of all, one of the biggest issues I think we're currently grappling with is I don't know if the players in the industry, the current crop of players, I don't know if they realize that it's a business. You know, I don't know if they get that conviction. And I can't blame them because I was just like them. When I started out, I was just having fun. I never thought it would have, but at the time, we never had the resources that are now available. There's the internet. I mean, that's Google. You can Google anything you want to know and figure out stuff. At the time, we had to go and experience it for ourselves. We had to travel from Jamaica elsewhere to find out stuff that at your fingertips today. So I'm saying, when it comes to your work and your copyright protection and these things, I hear a lot of persons using words and I realize they're using them loosely and don't even understand what they're talking about. Recently I'm trying to tell somebody, they put all the music online and they say them songs published and them tell me who published it. And I'm saying to you, you're sure your songs are registered? I say, I understand them collecting money, but are your songs registered? Are they registered? Where your ownership, your copyright ownership is registered. It's different from the publishing of the song, because anybody can publish a song. Song release, it is literally published. But who owns the song? Who owns the copyright? And I discovered other people's songs and they don't copyright them songs. They just collect the money. And so when issues come up, they can't defend it. And thankfully, this is where we sort of have that foundation. So when a Nicki Minaj call, for instance, there's no question. They don't have to question it. They have to come to me. They have to sort it out. They have to do what they need to do. And it worked like clockwork. So you don't get any drama with anybody over it.
As chairman of Jams, and given where you're coming from, the industry, it, you understand the entertainers, what would you say is your mandate going forward, and what is the grand idea as it relates to helping musicians and entertainers and so forth?
With the grand scheme of things, as I said, I went through the hard way. I paid to learn. I was convicted about all aspects of the music industry where I made mistakes. Because I made mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes, even knowingly and unknowingly. There are things that I thought that's how it worked because me here, so that's how it go. Somebody tell me so. Don't investigate, but you're here, so. And I said Jamaican people have too much feelings. Everybody feels something. Me feels that. Jamaican people say these things loosely. They feel this and then hear this. And I'm saying, listen. Let's take some time out to learn. Let's take some time out to... We're in a music business now. The world shrink. Everybody's on the same... It's like everybody is on one level playing field right now. And opportunities are there in abundance. And the more we learn, the more we'll be able to apply. Right? Stop feeling. Stop feel sick. Stop take advice from people who don't know. Especially those who are not even successful, but they feel so they're bright enough to tell you foolishness. We need to now engage in educating ourselves on the things that are necessary to see the music industry go to the next level. We cannot be losing out in the world stage right now where dancehall come like nothing. Dancehall come like a big joke to the rest of the world. And I feel embarrassed about it as somebody who, trust me, blood, sweat and tears to establish dancehall. And to see what they're making a mockery of it today, especially when it comes to the music. And I want to say this, and I hope you give me the time today, but the reality is that dancehall music was created out of technology is a major part of dancehall music. And we need to realize that we need to get back there. We have to be on the cutting edge. We can't just be trying to hustle the industry and trying to just, I'm going to make a money because if I put out this and make it X amount of views on Facebook, we can get an X amount of money. That's a hustle, and we get it. I can't tell nobody don't do that, But it's for the professionals and the one who wants to see the growth of the industry and want to have an industry 20, 50, 100 years from now. The remnant that's there need to engage and begin to educate themselves if they don't know. And where they know, start to apply and try and reach out to the younger ones who them trying not to listen right now because all them feel the same way, them still feel the same. And be deliberate in trying to educate them also. Jams have we been putting on seminars for years now. We invite the music industry to attend, and you find that we end up almost like preaching to the choir most of the time. Because who need to know, them don't come because they feel them know. And I'm saying when we assemble, a team of experts to come tell you exactly what you can do to become possibly a multimillionaire, because we're majoring in the minors and we penny wise and pound foolish. We need somebody to say, cut, hold on, time out. Let's take it from the basics. You know, how do you become a producer? What does it take to become a good producer? Have you studied any of these producers? Look at a man like Tom Bell that died the other day. He's a Jamaican. How much people in Jamaica don't know that? The records that have come up before, no. Who knows who's playing on these records? Why if you're afraid to call me? You can't afraid to call me. You're the easiest person to talk to. So if you're lacking something, if you call me, I'll tell you. I have no axe to grind about anything. The reality is that I want to help the industry. So when I was called out to head jobs, when the IFPI contacted me and gave us a mandate and I had to create from nothing this whole organization, we had to structure it. So obviously, I have to learn about these sort of structures. What I had to do? I go to class, I do a class, go study what we need to study. To the point where, you know, that non-entity has become a huge entity in Jamaica today and still progressing from there. And we're not giving up. So as far as the artists, musicians, songwriters, anybody, no matter what area of the industry you are affected by what we affect what you do and you affect what we do. So we are there to help you, to collaborate with you, to give you advice, to point you in the direction that you have to go. And it's free. And that's the best thing, that's the great thing about it. It's all free. Utilize it. Because we must answer to the, you know, what is happening now in our industry. It is lacking significantly. I know people don't like you or something because them, you know, they may bum me out.
How do you tell somebody to take heed when evolution we know is inevitable and here it is, what they're doing is definitely not up to par, but because the industry itself has changed through the digital age where you have all these different online mediums and platforms that they can push their music out to, and radio and the dancehall spaces are not the ultimate anymore. They have all these other mediums. When somebody is getting the attention and they feel like they are getting the recognition and the rewards, how do you say to them to revert and go to a space and a place of not knowing and be humble to learn when they are already reaping in their minds the benefits, and you can see that? How do you deal with that situation? Because that's a real thing that's happening now.
Well, as I say now, for me, if somebody is doing that, doing the hustle, what I call the hustle, and doing well, I have nothing to say to them. I can't tell them don't do it. I will never tell them that. I will never tell them to stop doing what they're doing to follow me. But what I will tell them is at least give them the hope that there's another way, or this is how you can expand what you're doing. So my thing was to say, if I can help you to be better. So now you're able to leave the garrison and you can rent a house uptown. How can I get you to the point where you can buy your own house, buy some apartments and rent them out too? And you understand? Get you to that place where the industry makes more sense, where you can monetize any area of the industry once you're breathing. And even when beyond your grave, you know, your thing will continue. But you have to be protected. Your documentation needs to be sorted out. You need to be in the know, you know. And one of the key things, and this is from me personally though, dare to be different. You don't have to follow the crowd. You don't have to. I'm not saying if that's your conviction, that's your training, and you can duplicate what somebody else is. Great. That's what you can do. You're making money from it. And that other thing they don't do it. But I'm saying to you, what about the alternative? It is there, and history has shown that it is when you do that you find that you have your greatest success, when you dare to be different. I always tell people this, you see, most of the time in the industry, when you see people are prominent, that's hardly the time when they're doing well. It's usually you don't see them. That's when things things start to happen. Because especially if you know what you're doing, if you understand your industry. So with the guys nowadays, everybody can sing now because there's, again, the auto tunes and you can make a production out of anything. Somebody can just set up my ears, make it sing. And I'm saying that's good to a point. But when the rubber meets the road, how are you going to stand? So right now, I feel like our industry we don't have any superstars. Or the superstars we have are still the same old superstars. There's nobody emerging because they don't have the will to do it. Nobody has the conviction to even try. Because the easy way out is to do it how we're doing it. But if you keep on doing the same thing the same way, you're not going to expect change. So if they don't expect change, or don't see a vision for something better, it's not going to get better. But I'm there to say there is a way, because I'm embarrassed about where our music is now, and I'm sure the whole of Jamaica is embarrassed. Yeah, nobody's talking about us anymore. And let me just say this before we close. Jamaica is the single most powerful black voice on this planet, and we've lost our position in a terrible way, where people will become the laughing stock. People are ready to number. Others have taken what we have and done so well with it, and we are there trying to. I don't know what we're trying to do, but somebody needs to take it to heart.
Wow. We definitely need to have a part 2, but finally, what advice would you give to aspiring producers and entertainers and industry practitioners, on the road to success, and they need that development and exposure? And as someone with so much wealth and knowledge, what can you give us?
Well, I shared most of it a while ago, but let me try and reiterate some of the things I say and try to add to it, right? Because the truth is, the most important thing to me is learning your craft. I hear what I say when I used to sit down on my column, watching football. I want to play, but it was important to me, right? So I play my guitar. If I'm a guitarist, what you do? You play a guitar. If you're a football, what you do? Play football. You can't be an artist, and all you can think about is the hustle of it. Develop yourself. Develop what you have, because you're never the best, so you can get better. Until, so you'll never be the best. So continue to strive to be better at what you do until you can feel satisfied in yourself. So 10 years from now, when I listen back to this song, was it a disaster? And so that's why I approach production, Is it a disaster? I say, man, what was I thinking? This was rubbish. Try to do the best with what you have. Do the best with what you have. This whole idea. Oh, and this other thing, this is a gem for me. Collaboration. Jamaican artists, I don't know what has happened to our industry, but I don't know if it's selfishness or whatever, but it's that collaboration. It has, I don't know. I think that is one of the factors that has destroyed this industry. People are not collaborating enough. Everybody wants to do their own thing. And it's not everybody have the talent to do that. There may be a few that can, but it's the best way to go. If you look at the international stage, when you look at the typical song out of America that's a mega hit today, it's our 10 songwriters. In Jamaica, everybody feel them have to write them own song, and them have to sing them own song, and now them have to produce them own song. Where's the objectivity in that? If you don't have the talent to be objective, you'll never get there. So, and we refer back to the days when you had, the producers who were not necessarily as skilled as some of the new producers them in terms of technical skills. But this will tell you something, man. You have a man named Winston Riley. He knew when a song hit. If you go to studio Winston Riley, if the rhythm not me, no, he cannot tell you what to do. But he knows. So I'm saying you have that sort of conviction. So that's a talent within itself. Some people have the multiple talents and can do all of that. And I'm saying today, I'm calling on these younger producers and so on. Own your craft. Make sure you own it, and you make sure, say, you plan to develop your craft as far as you can go. Challenge yourself, be objective, listen to what's happening on the radio. Is my song better than the best song I'm hearing on the radio now? And if it's not, talk the truth and don't do the song. Fix it. Don't try and get another number on the radio. If the hottest song in Jamaica right now, and it's trending, and you doing a song and you feel like, say, it don't really have that song, but want that song out, stop it. Go back to the drawing board and fix the song. You know what I'm saying? Tell people if you're in a studio and you have voice a song or you have make a rhythm and the studio not rocking, something wrong with the song. Don't be ignorant. Something the crowd telling you, say, me not feel the song. The audience have to be responding somewhere. So you start dance a yard before you dance abroad. Get it in your gizzard. Get your ego, check it at the door, and be realistic with what you do. And I'm pretty sure if you do that, if you apply those things, the industry will thrive. It will thrive to be the, the industry that it's ought to be and should have been and should continue to be.
We absolutely need to have a part 2. I mean, this was absolutely awesome. And thank you so much for taking time out of a busy schedule to take us on your journey, your awesome journey that cannot be told. So many more questions remaining, so many things that we can really touch on. But I am truly appreciative that we were able to do this.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks for the shout out.
Big up, of course, to your son Nico. He's following in your footsteps.
Yes. Proud of him, proud of him, proud of him.
Doing his own thing with his lifetime music. How you feel about that as daddy?
What do you mean, man? Look on my face. Yeah, man, and I'm saying favor me too, so you know, go ready. So, feel proud.
Every time I'm doing the interview, I'm seeing him. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, man, we're blessed. We're blessed.
Are coming in for you, Danny. This one says, what an educational, motivational, productive interview. Kishima, big up yourself. Oh gosh, big up, of course, to Danny Brownie. Keep up the good work. Is coming from Carrie. This person says, all I can say is wow, 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 wow. Thank you, Danny Brownie, for such an extended knowledge in your musical experience. The 2000s was really an epic moment in dancehall, and Main Street was the Barbara Green that paved the way for numerous artists. It's coming from Wise Words. This person says, good afternoon, Kish. Real veteran, you know, absolutely loving this one. It's Yellow from Claremont who said that. This person says, big up to Danny Brownie, it's Ricardo Portios. And this one says, Kishima, blessings again. It's Prince Jasper from Top Road in Darliston, Westmoreland. Locked in. What an upliftment. What a blessings. This person says, God in everything that you're doing. Oh, make sure you know that. This one says, love the vibes. It's Mr. Lee out of Nollis. And Martha the Barber in August Town says, great interview. Danny Brownie is one of the greatest producers ever. Thank you so much for sharing so many messages. But stick and stay. See you on the flip side of this break.
Get a juicy The Classic from Wendy's. Wendy's Dave's Classic, the juicier, tastier burger.
The time by Wendy's is...
It is now 1:46.
Some people are afraid to use credit cards, but we need to take the time to understand their features. Make sure you understand the terms and fees associated with your card, especially the credit limit and the interest that will be charged on any outstanding amounts. Plus, using credit cards wisely has benefits, including building credit, providing short-term loans, and facilitating online payments. Some credit cards also offer rewards, including travel miles, cashback, and more. Make sure you choose the right credit card for you.
This financial literacy tip was brought to you by Bank of Jamaica, building an inclusive economy.